Look,
This is hot, Ray.
symmetrical book stacking, just like the Philadelphia mass turbulence of 1947.
You're right. No human being would stack books like this.
Listen, you smell something? Talk about telekinetic activity. Look at this mess.
Raymond, look at this.
Ectoplasmic residue?
Venkman, get a sample of this.
It's the real thing.
Somebody blows their nose and you want to keep it?
All right. Welcome to episode 1 of the Burning Ewok podcast. We are back. This is official. This is our first real podcast in what? However many years.
Like
So,
14 or 12 or something.
something like that. So I'm Justin Granzin. With me as
I'm
always.
Well, I'm Chuck Fisher, but I always go as Chaz.
And Dan Mendro, also known as Nafers.
Sweet.
All right. So we're back, guys. What's been going on?
This week, as you can see on Dan's background, the Fallout trailer dropped, and I've already watched it 4 times.
I watched it once, just because
Really?
once was enough. Yeah, I want to watch it like going fresh.
I-
I almost
I'm
didn't watch
typically
it.
I've been that way for a long time, but this one, like the first time I watched it, I was like, yes. So I had to watch it like 3 more times.
So what did you
Very
think about it?
excited.
Like, what's your takeaway from like what you're seeing in it?
I don't know. That's a good question. No, I think it looks really good. It looks like, granted, it's just a trailer, but it looks like they hit a lot of major points from the games. So, and the only criticism I would have is that I feel like they should have done something kind of like they did in Saving Private Ryan, where they like desaturate the whole show just to give it that like grainy kind of edge, because it feels a little too bright and poppy to me. It feels too like vivid.
Okay.
Where I feel like the game itself is grittier, but that was just my initial reaction. But the rest of it looks awesome. The suits look good. The uniforms, the Vault Dweller uniforms look good. I really loved it.
Are
The
we
casting is
concerned?
awesome.
Are we concerned that they're dropping all 5 episodes or 6 episodes, however many are, or 8? I think there's 8. Like the same day, like Netflix. Are we concerned? Because Amazon doesn't typically do that. They release things 1 episode at a time, usually weekly. When Disney does it, Disney's usually weekly unless they know they have a stinker, and then they dump them all usually. So I
That's my that that's my initial thought, is that maybe the trailer's really good, but the show itself isn't. Which is kind of concerning that they would drop it all at one time.
My thought on it is really that if they're doing this, it's probably going to be some story building the first couple episodes, and they don't want people to pan it because it's slow or doesn't dive right in the first hour to whatever is ultimately going to happen, right? So I think if you're binging it, you can power through it, get it all done. I don't think you lose any excitement over it. In fact, you probably, if it's good, if it finishes strong, you'll probably build a whole lot of excitement for whatever next season they're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and Andor did that too. Andor, when it came out, they dropped it was either the first 2 or the first 3 episodes at first because it wanted to get that first story arc out there, knowing, hey, we dropped this, you watch the first episode, not a lot happens in it. It's mostly setting up. We give you an episode or 2, and then you get to see it kind of come together. And I thought that was a smart
Yeah.
move. I mean, either way, I was hooked in Andor. It's the best thing they've done in Star Wars as far as I'm concerned. But
Yeah.
um,
But I mean, it's worked for Stranger Things final season, right? They did the last Stranger Things season, right? They did the first half, and then they waited like 6 weeks, and then they dropped the second half, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that worked.
Yeah,
I
but I
wouldn't
mean,
read
even
into
like
it too much. I don't think it means anything.
I'm well, yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking by what Amazon typically does, because I don't know if you guys watched Invincible on Amazon.
No.
Not invincible.
Okay,
No.
so
I watch
Invincible
a ton of
is the
Amazon.
animated. It's an animated show. It's based on the comic by Kirkman, who did Walking Dead also. Um,
Hmm.
and it's fantastic. It's maybe my favorite show on Amazon, like hands down.
Hmm.
Can't think of anything else I like better on Amazon. Um, Maybe The Boys. I like The Boys a little bit better, but it's like kind of on par with, it's doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The fact is that they released that weekly, and that's an animated show. They did do a break in this last season where they showed the first half, and they're still, because they're working on the second half still. They said we wanted to
Hmm.
release something because it's been forever
Mm.
since the first season. Let's put this out there. I don't know. Maybe it just depends on the show, and hopefully, man, I really
What
hope
did
it's
they
good. I just want it to be good. I don't want it to suck.
What did they do with Rings of Power? Didn't they release like the first couple episodes and then release the last four?
Well, I thought the first episode was like 2 hours long, wasn't it? It was like a
Okay, yeah,
movie-length episode, if I remember.
yeah. And it was a little slow, right? The first few episodes of that are kind of slow, and it builds to that.
Maybe I didn't watch it.
Me neither. I
Yeah,
want to though.
Oh no, no,
it's on the list.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. It was good. Yeah, I liked it.
Okay.
good.
I mean, nothing. Yeah, I heard it was good. I heard it's slow, but I heard it's good. So I'll hopefully get to it.
And I
If
think
it,
that I want to say they dropped the first two, right?
I
Like
think you're right.
because like we watched it as a family. They watched they dropped the first two, and then you had to wait for the next four. And you haven't seen it yet, but I think it's been out long enough. I can do a little bit. It's like they're weaving multiple timelines and story perspectives together, and it makes it a little bit of a slog to get through to the payoff, right? Which I think is well worth it. But if they had just released it like one episode a week, like you get 50 minutes a week, I think it would probably have turned off more people if they couldn't invest themselves a little more.
This
It's a good
episode is
take
brought
on it.
by Pure Leaf.
Oh
Here,
my god. Great.
Refreshing.
Another thing I did today, which I mean I could talk a little bit about this afternoon. I was just working and I went online on YouTube and just listened to some live concerts. Some concerts recorded live, I should say. They weren't live at the time, but
mhm.
that's always a nice way to spend the afternoon.
What'd you listen to? Anything in?
I listened to like some They Might Be Giants, but like current stuff, like the last few years, I think 2022, 2018, somewhere in there. Live shows. They were pretty cool.
I've never seen them live.
I've never seen them live either. That's kind of why I turned
They're
them
kind
on.
of
I'm
like
like,
one of the
oh,
bucket list bands. Just I always wanted to go, and I think like
yeah, totally.
they were supposed to go on tour, and I think COVID stopped them from hitting this area. The time that
Yeah,
I wanted to go, because like I had the kids at the perfect age to take to a concert, and didn't
yeah,
happen. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool though. They seem to just have a lot of fun on stage and just like they're always like improving and stuff. It's pretty cool. So,
What do I know
well,
them from? Did they do Istanbul?
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
all right.
Particle
Cool.
Man. Yeah, you know him. You know him.
yeah. You know them. They were big. They had that Tiny Toons episode that like I think I was a sophomore in high school when it
Mhm.
aired.
Keep in mind, I'm like
So yeah.
about as mainstream with music as you get for the most part, right?
No, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
I just was thinking, I was just
Wear it on my sleeve.
it doesn't matter the genre or anything, but I just think it's so cool that you can go on YouTube and for free listen to a concert that you could have probably never gone to,
Mhm.
playing in New York, small theater.
Yeah.
So I just think that's cool.
Do you ever go back and look for concerts that you went to?
Nah, man.
So
Nah, I would like to. I
they're
think I
out
would like
there.
to go back and watch a couple of them.
So
But
so I
yeah,
saw Blind Melon about a month before the lead singer died at the Metro in Chicago, And a couple
Oh,
months
damn.
ago, I
Yeah.
found that concert on YouTube.
Mhm.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
you might be able to see me body surf and my feet fly by at one point. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
That's awesome.
very possible. There's a few concerts I've been to that are out on YouTube. It's pretty cool to like kind of relive a little bit. It's cool.
Oh, that would be mind blowing too.
Yeah.
I don't even remember them. Like
I mean,
that's the crazy
now
thing.
now I've been to concerts where enough people take such high definition video with their cameras and they'll piece them together. Somebody will take all the different videos, piece them together, and put out like an edited concert from different perspectives around the arena. So
Did you
that's kind of
ever
crazy.
buy the concerts on Blu-ray? Because like for a while they came out on Blu-ray and they were just like freaking awesome.
I have a couple concerts on Blu-ray.
Yeah,
Like
like
yeah, I
like
just have some like because I a few Pearl Jam concerts, the
mm,
discs that they released because I'm a big Pearl Jam fan, and
mhm,
yeah, I mean yeah, and that's when I was more of like a sound file, and had the surround sound set up, and I cared all about that stuff, and that was kind of like before I had kids, and
Yeah.
would go and pull the cables out of the wall or play frisbee with the CDs, and,
yeah.
you know.
I think YouTube is one of those things where, it's really awesome for music, right?
Hmm.
So many different things, like not just concerts, but one of the things I really like to do is watch like first listens of music
Hmm.
from
Oh yeah,
people,
yeah, 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 yeah.
and you get a lot of like, the really fun ones to me are like hip hop culture kind of people who get into like rock or some other, country or whatever, and listen the first time. I think those are a lot of fun. There was one where there's this, you know, African American lady, and she's watching the video for Fade to Black by Metallica for the first time. And if Fade to Black, right? It's a song about suicide, right? And she had like lost a brother or something, and she just like breaks down in the middle of it. And it's just you get some really raw emotion in it. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I
YouTube.
love it. I love it when watching women cry.
Yeah. You weirdo. No, I
Absolute joke.
honestly,
Absolute joke.
honestly, the majority of content that I probably watch is on YouTube. Like so much stuff. There's so
So
much
so
stuff. And
you
then
are
if
a zoomer.
mm, yeah, maybe. I mean,
You fall on the
possibly.
yeah. Because I mean we're all
I,
Gen Z here, and
I no, no, no. We're Generation X, bro.
well yeah,
We're
that's what I meant.
we're
That's what I
we're
meant. Gen X, Gen X. Just Gen Z's
yeah,
are yeah,
let's
yeah,
say
yeah.
we're at the
We're all
tail end
X.
of X, right?
Well, yeah,
Uh,
the very end. Yeah. Well, I was 75,
I'm
so what? That's like
75. I have 5 more years
so
left.
80 was officially the end of
Yeah,
Gen X, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 76, but when you talk about a lot, like if you watch Gen X like videos on YouTube, like, oh, Gen X, if you remember this, and I'm like, I was like 6, when,
That's true.
you know,
That's true.
it's you get a lot of like early 80s stuff, like early 80s music. I'm like, I was 10 when, in 1986, right? So my taste in music then wasn't even as sophisticated as it is now, and it's not sophisticated at all, right?
No.
So it's like I don't really identify with a ton of the earlier Gen X kind of stuff. And I'm more, it's like we're like blended into the, Gen Y, or is it, do they call it Gen Y? There's so many freaking terms for it
Who
now.
knows? I
Yeah.
don't know. I lost track. But I will say this, that even like I have friends who are just like 5 years older than me, or like cousins who are just like, 5 or 6 years
Yeah.
older, 7 years older than me, and their taste in music is 100% different. Like
Mhm.
their memories of the 80s, the music they grew up on, and it's not. I mean, you know,
Oh
we
yeah.
just missed each other in high school. They would have been graduating right before a few years before I became a freshman. So it's mind blowing that even within the same generation of people, it's crazy how the culture changes so much. Like I think 92 or 91, right around there, like there was a moment where I stopped listening to dance music and B96 and I went to alternative music. I
Mhm.
never went back, but and well, I never really liked dance music in the first place, but I mean, finding REM and the alternative channel on my radio in my car, that was like a moment that for me, and but my cousins and friends that are older, they didn't experience that. But in fact, some of my cousins are like, "Oh, I can't stand listening to that grunge stuff." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? That's the best music, that
So,
ever made or whatever."
so do you think that the younger generations? I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna see things the same way. I think
No,
when
I
you
don't.
have
They don't have that
access to
experience.
absolute everything
Yeah. Yep.
all at
Yep.
once, I had to dig to find like you hear a song on the radio and you have to like
Mhm.
listen see if they play it again and oh what I didn't hear what the DJ said. I
Right.
have no idea what that song was. What was that? I have to keep
Yep.
listening, figure it out
Yep.
or find a way to, get it where now I could just like Shazam it on my phone or
Yeah,
I have access to everything. There's nothing. There are no
yeah.
secrets anymore. There are no holy grails of music. I mean, I guess there are a few, but
Our music digestion was largely, whatever your parents listened to when you were really young, right?
Hmm.
And then, but everything else is chronological, right?
Yep.
And curated by whoever put anything on the radio or whatever you did at Sam Goody or oh God, what was the other big record store? Shoot, whatever.
we had Sam Goody was a big one. Coconuts. We had
Yep.
Yeah, and then we
Tower.
made mixtapes, right? Tower records,
Tower
that's the
records.
one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tower records. But
Tower records. Yep.
then you would make mixtapes or whatever if you had two tape recorders or but that was
Hmm.
about it. Now, like my
Mixtapes.
kids, they actually learned like I'll put on something from when I was a kid or for, when like my parents' music and they'll be singing along. I'm like, how the hell do you know this? And like, oh, it's on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
how they know
Yeah.
80% of music. And they're like, I'm like, that song's from like 1978. And they're like, what? They're like, I just heard it last year. I'm like, yeah, that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
But you were talking about REM, and I think it's kind of funny because like I know REM more from like Out of Time and After. My sister is like Green and Eponymous and the albums that came
Murmur.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like she knows all those ones a lot better than I ever will and
Hmm.
ever. It's like two different bands. So, I think, just generationally and the differences between just within Gen X, I think I hate labels like that.
Yeah,
'Cause-
yeah. I think for the purpose of the conversation, we have to kind of go
Yeah.
with it. But I know
Yeah.
what you mean by
Yeah.
disliking the labels. So I could
Mhm,
say,
Absolutely.
um, some of the guys I coach baseball with be a couple years younger, and then some, and like the parents and everything. I have like a circle of people I hang out with. Some are a few years older, and the taste in music there are so many tendrils that were connected to each other, but it's still a completely different experience. And I think
Yep.
even if
Yep.
between the three of us, we've had completely different experiences with music,
Oh
of
yeah.
course, but
mhm,
seeing like somebody where it was the hair metal before the grunge takeover in the early 90s, and then
mhm,
that's because the people that are a few years older than me are very much into the um just the Def Leppards, the uh not Slayer, but who am I
Guns N' Roses.
Decadence. Oh, Guns N' Roses would be a great pick there. Yeah. Um, yeah, just those bands that were like of that time, Tesla, you name it, all these bands where it's like I have a fondness for many of those bands. But then
Mhm,
I had my
Yep.
main bands in the early 90s, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, that kind of stuff. And then go a few years after that, and then it's like the best band ever is 311. The best band ever is Incubus, or whatever, just a few years after that. And then it's
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
but I don't know if like after the year 2000 that we've got that much of that anymore. You know, I mean, obviously
I like.
rock is completely like in its own corner right now, doing its own thing. But I don't know if there's like there's like your Taylor Swift powerhouse right now, which is like
mhm,
the only comparison I think I can have to that would be Michael Jackson in the 80s.
Hmm.
But
Yep.
I don't know if there's any musical identity beyond that. Like I can't say that there's like a thing other than like as you said, Dan, what the kids are listening to on TikTok. Motley
Yeah.
Crue
Well,
is the one I
that
was thinking of.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
like what Dan was saying though with his kids, because I've noticed the same thing with mine, where they'll be playing their music and it's like the weirdest collection of stuff I've ever heard. Like, because they'll go from something real current that like Britney Spears or whatever. Not, I
Britney
guess she's
Spears is
not
not
current.
current, man.
Who did you just say? No, wait. You just
Taylor
said what's
Swift.
her name?
Taylor
Taylor
Swift.
Swift. I'll go from
Who
like
probably
Taylor
isn't
Swift.
who's current, but I mean she's been around a while.
Yeah, but she's like mega talented or whatever. Yeah,
Mhm.
I couldn't name a single song
I,
she's put out, but my kids love her, but they'll play her, and then the next thing you know, there's like a song from the '60s comes on. I'm just like, what are you guys? Once in a while, a song will come on. I go, how do you guys know that song? They're like, Dad, you play it all the time.
Mhm.
So it's like you guys are listening to what I listen to. That's awesome.
so I'm really lucky in that I've got my older son who's going to school for music composition, and also a plug for him. He's the one who did the music for this podcast. He I was able to cultivate him and raise him in a way that he and I share a lot of musical tastes. He is doing music composition now. He's introducing me to music, and
Mhm.
his tastes have changed, but we still have all those common fibers. I mean, I was lucky too because my dad and I shared the same type of musical taste. I would wake up in the morning and listen to Tom Petty blaring down the hall at 8 in the morning on a Saturday, and that's what's waking me up, or Jimi Hendrix or Pink Floyd, whatever he was into at the moment. And a lot of Rush. And, which is amazing, that I've been able to have that. And, there's a surprise there. I can't talk about it now in case my kids listen to this, though, that I'll bring up in about a month that we'll talk about music again. So remind me at the end of May. At the end of May.
At the end of May. All
Yeah,
right.
we'll talk about that. So that's kind of
Cool.
something I'm looking forward to. I can tell you guys offline. Just they may
Yeah.
listen to this podcast though. Now they're gonna be
Can,
like, Dad, what's up? What are you gonna
What's
tell
the
us?
secret?
Yeah.
What's
so
the
Yeah.
secret?
can I date myself and give you my mainstream music forte? So I bought concert tickets. So I like, if you know me, I don't buy concert tickets very often. Like I went and saw Foo at Riot Fest last year with my son, which was really
Cool.
cool. But I had
That's cool.
poor to spending money on concerts, right? Like they're so damn expensive. Riot Fest was like, I think we paid like $150 a ticket, which is amazingly good in today's scheme of things.
Yep.
But I bought tickets for Wrigley for Def Leppard, Journey, and
Oh,
Stevie
you
Wonder
got him. I
Band.
was wondering
Oh,
if you were
that's
gonna go to that.
awesome.
I was wondering if
Yeah,
you were gonna go. There you
That's a
yeah,
go.
good.
And I
That's a
heard
yeah.
good
that
one, man.
Stephen Perry's back, right?
Yeah, yeah. I also heard that they also have the Filipino dude like there too. I don't know if that's true or not, but I thought they were like he was still kind of hanging around and
Good. He should. He's
singing.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So
Well,
I
yeah.
think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
But
See,
I'm
I on
looking
the other
forward
hand
to it.
like spending money on concerts. I love live music so much. I get why it's expensive, but I was also the guy that would spend $100 a month when I was in high school, making $150 a month. I'd spend 100 of it on CDs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every month I'm buying like 4 or 5 CDs minimum. And then going to concerts. But I'm paying $18 a concert back then. I was looking through some.
Oh
I have like a stack of ticket stubs actually in the drawer next to me. I was like going through and finding them and putting them in
yeah.
little cases, like baseball card cases, just to preserve
That's
them.
pretty cool, man.
Yeah, yeah. Here,
Yeah.
let's see if I could find one
Don't let
here.
him get in the sun. Don't let him
No,
get in the
no,
sun,
you
man.
cannot put them in the sun.
No,
So
no.
you'll remember this one. Let's see if it focuses in. Ah, crap! This stupid thing.
No, it's the wrong color for your
Yeah, it
background.
is. It's absolutely terrible.
Nice.
But it's Spin Doctors at the World Music Theater. Chuck, you and I went to that
Yeah.
concert together.
Yes, that was a good
where
time.
where Gin Blossoms and Cracker opened up for them.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got some baseball tickets in here. Yeah, I got a whole
And
bunch. So, and
you
um, I forgot.
Wait, Gin
Anyway,
Blossom Gin Blossom and Cracker opened up for Spin Doctors.
Cracker
yes.
was the
Like in
first tube
hindsight,
band. I went
that's
there for
when you totally
Cracker.
flipped, right?
Well,
Yes, and you've heard and you've seen Cracker live like a billion times since.
probably about
Yeah,
10. I've
I've
seen
seen them
Cracker
like
about.
3 or 4 times with you, Justin.
Yeah, I've seen them
Yeah,
about 10 times. They're one of my
but I
favorite
mean, like
bands.
today, when
Got
you
Weird
think
Al
about it,
Yankovic.
Spin Doctor is like at the McHenry County Fair like every other year. It's like
Yeah,
They got
you
like two songs that they could, you know.
Mudhoney and Pearl
know,
Jam.
one.
Yeah. So I'm trying to
That's
find all
cool.
my old ticket stubs because what I would used to do was I'd put them in the CD cases.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so I found, I got the CDs. I was going through them and I was pulling the ticket stubs out and just kind of finding a way to preserve them because some of them, yeah, the light screws with them. It's kind
What
of cool.
about what about scalping tickets? Remember, like you could
Not a
walk
thing.
up to a concert. I know, but you could walk up to a concert. Dude, be like, "Hey, what you want it?
Hmm.
You want in?" You're like, "Yeah," and then you'd get in for like a little over a price, but it was
Usually
never
it wasn't
bad.
too bad. Usually it
I
wasn't
saw
too bad.
Weezer. I saw Weezer at the Metro, $15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You
was
can still scalp them today. I mean, it's just you just do it digitally now.
Yeah. Well, and the fear is like, oh, they're gonna, I don't even know. But when there was a concert here not long ago that both my girls really wanted to go to, and the trick was just wait till the concert starts, then walk up to the box office, and any tickets that weren't sold, they go back into the box office, and you could just buy them right there.
Oh, so you want to hear something scary? So Jana wanted to go to Taylor Swift when she was here in Chicago. It was insanely expensive, right? And then she's coming back to like Indiana or something, right? And she gets a message on Facebook from one of her friends, somebody she knows. It's her account. Somebody had hacked this other person's account, but was posting on Facebook. I have Taylor Swift concert tickets for Indiana, $800 a piece, right? I have four
Whoa,
of them, and Jana almost sent her money.
oh
that's amazing!
Yeah, and it's
Amazing.
like don't you do that? Like I expect that to happen to like my mom, but not you. You're young enough that you know how to avoid these scams.
You're not old enough to be screwing up like that. It's the
Oh, really?
opposite. Yeah. I was
Oh,
so I went and saw Pearl Jam at Wrigley Field like in 2013 or something, and I remember when I pulled the tickets. As soon as they were handed to me, I turned around and there was an actual physical ticket. A guy behind me said, "I'll give you $2,000 for these tickets right there." I thought
Oh.
about it. I thought about it. I was with Ryan, and he looked at me with puppy dog eyes, like, "No, I want to go to the concert." So we went to the concert, but while we were waiting in line to get in, they were scanning our tickets early. We were in the bar area. Like it's a little the way they do it now is different, but we were in the bar, and they said, "Hey, you guys could just go into the concert here when the doors open." So we said, "This is perfect." So we got in line, and there was a group of two guys and like four girls behind us, and the guys were like acting like they were like totally like the coolest dudes ever. They got these women with them and they're taking me to the concert. They just got these tickets. And they scan the tickets and they're like, "These aren't real." And they're like, "What?"
Oh.
They're like, "We just spent $300 a ticket on each of these and you're telling me they're not real?" He's like, "Yeah, man, you got scammed. You can't get it. You can't get in." So it was like there was six of them, $300, and they just threw that money away. Yeah, they didn't look
Uh,
that cool after that. They were So
yeah.
PSA, do not buy scalp tickets anymore. Yeah.
I
No,
won't.
it was dangerous back even in the
Eh,
'90s.
I had fun doing it. I did it a lot. But yeah, it's
Oh,
either
yeah.
you buy them at the box office right there or through like a StubHub or something because people at the start of the concert are desperate to get rid of them at that point. You can get them super cheap.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Nice.
anyway, music is cool. I didn't expect that. So our our new format is to just kind of talk about some stuff and then we're trying to keep the podcast to what we said about an hour, right? That's like kind of what we're looking to do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we can. I think I'm gonna save all the other stuff I wanted to talk about until next week, such as what I've been watching. I mean, we could talk about it for a second, and then I want to get into some news. But I know Dan has been cramming some Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And
pretty good. It's pretty good, I'll say. Um, so I watched the first season,
okay,
and I watched it, and the fact that all current seasons are out already, it makes it easy to binge it, and it's not super long. I think it's like 15 episodes or something, season one.
yeah,
It's pretty good. I really like. I apologize to the actress. I don't remember her name, but she's Sasha on The Walking Dead. That's how I know her. That plays Michael,
Burnham.
the main character.
I
Yeah.
think she's great. I think she's a great
So
captain.
she's really good.
Yeah, she
And everybody.
definitely gives her. She is a completely different personality than any of the like other captains. You know, Kirk has got his thing, Picard's got his thing, Cisco. You know, all of them have their own thing. She definitely has her own thing.
Yeah. Well, she's not a captain in season one, and I'm like
True.
3 episodes into season two. She's not a captain. I know she becomes one.
It's gonna take
But
a while.
yeah.
And you know what?
I think
I really like it when she does become that. You know, I don't think it's a spoiler to talk about. Eventually, she gets to that point. I think it's when she gets there, it's earned and it's good.
yeah,
Yeah.
trying to be objective about, I'm not really a Trekkie. I like Star Wars or Star Wars. I like Star Trek. Sorry.
Not really a
I like
Trekkie
Star
with the Force and all that crap, but
Yeah. That's so good. I grew up watching Next Generation. Actually, before Next Generation, I used to have a little like 9-inch black and white TV that was a hand-me-down that I had in my room when I was like really little, and only could get like in LA, I forget what the channel was, but I think it was like channel 58 or whatever it
yeah,
was.
yeah, UHF channel, and you'd watch Star Trek at night.
Reruns of like the
Yeah.
same 10 episodes
Uh huh.
of the series, right? Um, I like some of the movies, original movies. I enjoyed the J.J. Abrams movies. I thought they were pretty good. But I think Discovery is the best of all of them, from production quality to writing to acting, right? Is the best out of all of the ones that I've seen. I haven't seen everything. There's more shows out there. And I'm just thinking objectively. Like I've got some, nostalgia for Next Generation, right?
Yes.
I did not ever watch Deep Space Nine, so I can't really throw that into the mix. But it's really good. I don't think it's perfect, but it's
Oh no, it's
fun.
not perfect, but none of them are.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun. There's some things that I find annoying, and I will, hit the skip button when certain people.
So, girl with like the augmentation around her eye that is in every single episode, and they never ever talk about her.
Detmer, I actually know her name, Detmer.
Detmer, yes, okay,
Yeah,
Detmer.
yeah,
No backstories. There's like 4 characters on the show that get a backstory, and that's it. And that's what infuriates me
yeah.
because all the characters on the crew of the Star Trek shows get their stories,
Yep.
and
Yep.
eventually some of them do. One of them, we'll talk when you get a little further in. I just I really like the show. I really like because it's different in that this Star Trek is continuous storyline. Like
Hmm.
episode 1 to episode 10 of a season, it's a continuous storyline, which isn't typical for Star Trek. There'll be things
Right.
that'll happen in Star Trek that'll move along the plot. Deep Space Nine is probably the closest to doing that. Um, and I didn't watch Enterprise enough to know how much they did that. I don't think they did. I think it was still story of the week for the most part. But
Yeah.
it's got the elements of story of the week where each episode it's just like, oh my gosh, here is what makes Star Trek is we have a crazy decision to make. You know, do we help save this civilization, but by doing so we wipe out this completely unknown section of the universe that maybe, it's these moral conundrums that Star Trek
Mhm.
always would present each week. Whether it be, I mean, they don't have a full-fledged prime directive yet, or they sort of do. They're still kind of working that out because this is still pre-Kirk and pre
Mhm.
all that,
Hmm.
and it's so they're kind of shaping that stuff, and I love that part of Star Trek. Go to a
Mhm.
place, can we mess with it, or if we do, what are the effects? And it's good sci-fi, and that's what I
Yeah.
really like about it.
I
So I'm
I
glad you're
so
liking it. I'm really glad. Chuck, I cannot believe you haven't watched this yet.
yeah.
Well, it turns out I don't have Paramount Plus. I just tried to
Six
log
ninety
in.
nine with commercials, man. It's
I know
easy.
I saw it. I'm gonna get it. I'm
It's
gonna get
not
it.
bad.
Yeah.
And then so because of that, I finished that, and then I started watching Halo. I was gonna go into Strange New Worlds, but I started Halo because
Oh, dude,
I
Strange
know
New
you
World,
watched Halo,
awesome.
and
I
Dan, I
watched.
think you
I
watched some
watched.
Halo
Yeah.
also. Yeah.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
wanted to catch up with that so we could talk down the road about some Halo. I don't care that he has his helmet off in the slightest bit. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm like, it makes sense. And this is all pre the game anyway. And if you
Yep.
read the books, like if you want to be like a nerd and get pissed off that Master Chief takes his helmet off, if you read the books that are supposedly, the story that was all linked in with what Bungie was doing, he had his helmet
Mhm.
off in those too. He's an actual person. He's how they talk about how they
Mhm.
operate on him, and he's got a whole backstory into childhood and everything also. So, don't give me that. The story is not the same as the game. I kind of dug the first 3 episodes that I watched, so I'm kind of excited to get back to it.
Yeah, I did not think it was bad at all.
Yeah.
But do I think it appeals to the broader audience? I think unless you're really into Halo, I don't know that it would appeal to you.
Season two's out, right?
Season 2 is almost done. They've got, I think, a couple more episodes left. It's a weekly thing. Um,
So,
here's the thing, though. So my wife is like, "Hey, what are you watching?" As I was starting episode 4, she's like, "You're watching Halo without me?" And I'm like, "What? Okay." I didn't think you really wanted to watch. She's like, "No, I wanted to watch it." I'm like, "All right, you catch up." So she caught up. She watched the first 3, and now we're gonna go through the rest. So hopefully by next episode, I'll have more to talk about with that. Um,
That's pretty cool though.
yeah, yeah, and so
So
but I want to get her perspective on this because she's only seen the shooty from her lame ass husband playing video
yep.
games, and I want to see what she thinks of the actual show and like compared to what I think.
mhm.
Yeah, it's like the game that that your husband sunk hundreds of hours into over the last 12 years or whatever,
Yeah,
14 or 20 years. I don't even
Probably
know now.
thousands, not
Yeah.
hundreds.
Yeah. True.
yeah.
True.
So
Uh,
so there's that. But the reason that we didn't get any further in Halo is because I'm almost completely caught up with Only Murders in the Building.
oh yeah, I gotta start that back up, but I don't have Hulu right now,
Mm.
so it'd probably be a month or two before I get back into it because we
Sure.
gotta we gotta you gotta kind of massage all your subscriptions
You
around
have to.
now.
Yeah, you got to bleed them
So I
out,
Yep.
have
and
I have
I
Paramount
agree
Plus.
100%.
Got Paramount Plus until May 16th.
okay.
Then I will re-up Hulu.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got
No,
some
we
things
bled
to
out
get to.
Apple. We bled out Apple. We bled out Peacock. Got Netflix because I got Three Body Problem coming up, and I heard it's
Mhm.
just mediocre and kind of boring, and I got really sad.
I've
But
heard two completely opposite reviews. One that's like, "Oh my God, it's perfect," and then one is like, "This is a mess." So,
okay, well, I'm gonna watch it regardless because it's
Yeah.
it's
You
it's
gotta.
insane. The book is insane, so I have to, and I pretty much watch everything sci-fi anyway. But yeah, Only Murders in the Building is the single most adorable thing I think I've ever watched in television. I absolutely love every bit of it. And Dan, like we said on episode 0, which is $1 on Patreon if you're interested. Uh, uh, like the amount of Martin Short that you can handle is like
yeah.
take them in small bites, and like I totally get that. My wife and I were
Yeah.
talking about the same thing too. We're like, but on this show, it's my favorite Martin Short. This is my
Yeah.
favorite Martin
Yeah.
Short stuff. I never get annoyed with him. And Steve Martin is next level perfection. It's so good.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
So you've not watched any of the seasons, Dan?
I watched season one.
Oh, you
Oh,
did.
yeah, yeah.
I think
Okay.
2 is better, and so far 3 is even better than that. Like
Two
it really gets better.
Yeah,
at
I
the
think we
end.
watched the first like episode or two of season two, and then I was watching it with my daughter, and we just stopped for whatever reason. So,
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's
That
also because the
happens.
cameos get better and better throughout them too. Like in this season, they've dumped like Matthew Broderick, Mel Brooks,
hmm
main characters of Paul Rudd and Meryl Streep
Yep.
in season 3. It's
hmm
fantastic. Hey, Chuck, how far did you get in it?
I've seen the first and season,
Okay.
and I just that first season when like I think it was like the last episode when Steve Martin gives that monologue, and you're just like, oh, he's like telling like he's like getting like gets this awesome monologue, but then you realize that it's all in his head. It was
Uh-huh.
so funny, dude.
There's some awesome, and then
It was
this like kind
so
of goes
Steve
in with
Martin too.
because that goes in I think on that first season with the Bugs Bunny hallucinations, right?
Oh yeah,
We see
yeah.
Bugs Bunny and Porky Pig. Yeah,
Mhm.
there's some season three's got some really good ones that are not
Oh,
that,
good.
but a new version of that type of thing where he goes out of his head. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I
awesome.
just, yeah, it's, right before we started, I was watching some Three Amigos bits because we were trying to find a script for the beginning of the show, and I was like, I cannot believe how bad this is. Like, I used to think the movie was
It
genius.
is.
I
We just
think it's
watched it.
Oh, it's rough.
No,
oh man,
I
I
don't
watched
know.
no.
it with the kids
You
last year.
disagree, really?
I
Yeah.
watched it. I watched it with the kids last year also. The kids loved it.
Oh, hey, I pulled off the airplane joke like 4 days ago with my youngest son walking him to school.
The mail plane?
Yes, the mail plane. He goes, look, there's a helicopter, flying overhead. I said, oh, it's a mail helicopter. He goes, how do you know? I said, can't you see the two little balls? And just looks at me.
Perfect.
Oh, I
That's
love doing
awesome.
that to my kids. That's the best part of having kids.
Oh my God.
That's good. Yeah, so I don't know, you guys want to get into some news? I think I had a notepad around here
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yes, but by the way, I did see Dune 2.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, and
Yeah, it was fantastic.
mhm.
And Timothy Chalamet, is that how you say his name? Last name
Yeah, I
Chalamet?
think so.
yeah.
He's really, really good, but he needs to take a break from being in every single freaking movie.
Agree.
Like he's one of those guys who's gonna get like he's way overexposed right now. Because I think during the trailers for the movie, he was in 4 trailers or something like that.
Oh
You know,
man.
he's got so much stuff coming out. It's nuts. But to me he's like a Ryan Gosling kind of guy where you're
Don't you
getting
besmirch.
what's that? Yeah, I know he's your man crush now,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
Uh,
now?
but
Always.
it's like you're getting the same thing. You're getting Nick Cage in your movie. You're not getting the character, right? You're always getting Nick Cage or Ryan Gosling or Timothy Chalamet. I could not stop thinking of him as Willy Wonka
See, I
during
didn't
the
see
movie.
Willy Wonka.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
It's so good. It is really, really good.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah,
That's so good. I'm so happy to hear that.
yeah. It's like you got to go in knowing it's a musical to really appreciate it, but
Well,
he's
the original was a
phenomenal.
musical too,
Yeah,
so it
yeah.
But
shouldn't be
but
that
the
much of
last
a
two were
surprise.
not. The last two were not though. The Charlie
Yeah.
and the Chocolate
Okay,
Factory
if
and
we're
the
gonna talk about the Tim Burton train wreck with the Michael Jackson issues, no way.
yeah. But they didn't
Anyway.
market the movie as a musical when they did the commercials for the new
Oh,
Willy
that's
Yep.
true.
Wonka.
I
You're
guess they
right.
didn't.
They
Yeah.
They
didn't.
didn't
They did not.
really let on. They were like, I think they show him like singing, the main recurring song, whatever the one that Gene Wilder sings, right? I think they show that a little bit in the trailers for it, but they don't market it as musicals. So I think that put people off on it. But anyways, I want to go out right now on YouTube and look for mashups of Dune and Willy Wonka right now because
Oh
Willy
yeah, that's
Wonka
coming.
and Dune Part Two would just be freaking awesome.
All right. So some news.
Yeah.
Let's start with Fallout. So we talked. You stole some of my thunder early on. I was going to talk about the Fallout trailer in the news, but I want to also talk about Fallout Magic the Gathering cards. So that
Oh
set came
yeah.
out on the 8th, and I got all excited because if you look on YouTube, or on eBay, check out some of these cards. They're amazing looking. So
All right, I'll do it. Bring it up now.
yeah, so there's some really cool looking cards. I went to the store to see if I could get some. Like the shelves have been completely emptied.
Wow.
So if you see any, let me know because I want to get it. My son and I want to get a few packs of those. Not too many though, because they're expensive. Um, so we have that. Speaking of Blu-rays, we talked about Blu-rays. It looks like Disney is going to be releasing Andor, Moon Knight, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and
Yep.
others to
I just saw
Blu-ray
that.
with
Yep.
extra
I just saw that.
scenes, deleted stuff, lots of extra features. That is something that I feel is missing in a lot of today's stuff. I remember, talking about like the great sound of listening to a Blu-ray concert. You got the perfect visual, and then you got the perfect sound
Mhm.
with it. And now we listen to things on our phones with like, you know, bit quality that's like way, way lower. And Here, seeing like we watch things streaming, which most of the time is pretty good. 4K streaming can happen. It's not always up to 4K, unlike this podcast, which is pristine. Um, it's just kind of neat. I know there's a lot of people that want a hard copy of everything. Get a hard copy of, I'll do it with some video games. Most games I'll get digital, but if it's a Zelda game or something special, I'll get a hard copy. You know. So
Yeah.
so there's that.
So, question, where are they going to sell it? Because I thought I heard Target, Walmart, and Best Buy are all getting rid of selling Blu-rays at some point this year.
I'm sure that they'll sell Star Wars and Marvel stuff still for like whatever
Mm.
stock they get, and that'll be it. And then Jeff Bezos will be selling on his little website.
It'll be back on the
Yeah.
pop culture
These are for
rack
these are
at
for
the back of the
collectors if you
wall.
think about it. This is the stuff that if you do buy it in 30 years, your $20 DVD or Blu-ray that you bought might be worth like $50.
Hey man, I still
So
have all
get
three
excited.
releases of the original Star Wars on VHS, and none of them
Yeah,
are worth anything.
they're not worth anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nope.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I've got the originals and the special editions on VHS.
I,
I got them both.
I have my Striptease collector's edition DVD, man, and that's not worth anything either.
Wait.
I went and heard
Striptease,
Striptease.
the Demi
Yeah,
Moore one?
no, no, sorry, not Striptease. What's the
You
Showgirls.
probably talking
Showgirl?
Showgirls.
Showgirls, yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, Showgirl. Sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
not a real big cult following on that movie though.
Oh yeah, dude, I think there is, man. Like,
Not no, I mean if you're gonna go with
so
if you're gonna do the Verhoeven movie, I would say Starship Troopers or RoboCop are probably
Starship
better.
Troopers is huge right now because of
Yeah,
Helldivers, right?
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Okay, what else do I got? Next week, X-Men '97 is gonna drop on Disney.
dude, so what's with it? They like fired the guy already.
That was the next thing I
What's
was gonna talk about. I don't know. So like one of like the main people, apparently the guy was a complete jagoff. So, um, I guess he worked on some other stuff that he was rather problematic on, and it didn't go well with the Disney people. So he's gone. Um, Marvels, and this is going to kind of tie into what we're going to talk about in a little bit. The Marvels, people are watching the Marvels now that it's put on Disney Plus, and guess what? People like it.
Hmm. Okay.
People are saying it's pretty good, and I personally really liked it when I saw it in the theater. But I'm gonna shelve that for a little bit. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's go through some Star Wars stuff, and then I'll end with a story. So the Acolyte trailer is coming out soon. Acolyte, you guys know what that's going to be? Okay,
Is
so
that
this is one of the things I'm most excited, other than like Andor season two. Um, the Acolyte is Star Wars a few hundred years before all the stuff that
oh,
we've
okay?
seen.
Yeah, I knew. Then
Yeah,
yeah, it's I
yeah.
thought it
So I
was,
think
yeah.
it's going to be like this, the High Republic. So I think it's 200 to 300 years before A New Hope. And like Yoda will probably be in it at some point, I imagine, because he's still around then. But other than that, it's all different characters, and I think it's going to focus on the Sith and or the Dark Jedi that are in the story, and it's going to be a
Okay.
completely different feel for Star Wars, and I'm really excited. Like finally, this is like the stuff I've been waiting for. Get out of the Skywalker stuff. Let's go somewhere else. And I read some of the books; they're okay, but I like the world building they've done in them. So I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do with the show. Um, no season 4 for Mandalorian, says Brendan Wayne. He's the guy who actually plays the Mandalorian, like in the suit, because what's his name's never in that suit. um, Pablo is never in that suit. But he's saying no season 4 because they're doing the movie. But that doesn't mean there won't be a season 4 somewhere down the road, I'm thinking. But I'm wondering, is this close up the story, or are they just going to do a series of movies afterwards? Because I know that Dave Filoni, who's kind of the mastermind of Star Wars stuff right now, and they've kind of given him the reins the way they gave Kevin Feige the reins of Marvel. He's the one who
I thought it was
basically,
Favreau
huh?
was the guy they gave the reins to. I thought they gave the reins to Favreau.
No. It's Filoni. Filoni and Favreau are the ones who work together. So
Mm-hmm.
Favreau's doing the directing. I think he's going to direct the Mandalorian movie. But Filoni is
Mhm.
kind of like the world builder of all of it. He's the one that worked with George Lucas during the Clone Wars cartoon, and they did that together. He's the one who gets Star Wars more than anybody, and this is somebody they should have given full control or given more control earlier on. Um, anyway, the story was that they were always supposed to build up for his movie, which is going to combine the Mandalorian stuff with the Ahsoka stuff, and everything is just kind of comes to a head in one final movie.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if the Mandalorian is one part of those movies, and then they're just going to build and then get away from doing the series and more of like movies, which I'm fine with. If a type movie is I'm all about. So more on that as the time goes by, but
Yeah. I don't
uh,
care, by the way.
huh?
I hate Mandalorian. I don't really hate it,
Really?
but
How
I
do you
think
hate
it's
Mandalorian?
it's boring. It's
Really?
so boring.
Oh, it
Yeah,
is
and it's
fantastic.
dumb.
You know, yeah, you're not wrong. It moves super slow.
Mhm.
Those episodes are super slow.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I like it. I like it because of the content, but Dan's right. It moves super slow, especially season one.
So it's got an identity problem, and I think it's something that even Star Trek Discovery dips into a problem with it every once in a while, and it's not the boring piece of it because I do think it's boring, but it just like the character of Tilly in Star Trek Discovery is everything that's wrong with Mandalorian and Obi-Wan and all the Star Wars stuff. It's like you have some like really cool kind of storyline going on. We'll be like, oh hey, a whole town just got wiped out by a bunch of stormtroopers. But hey, this cute little like excited furry creature popped up and everyone forgets about, their Uncle Baru just got wiped out by
Yeah.
stormtroopers, right?
Hang on,
It's
wait. In
it's just like
in in
the
defense of Star
cheese,
Wars,
the cheese factor when you're trying to be gritty and serious ruins it for somebody like me. And just that's what that along with the periods of just walking in the freaking desert of Tatooine is just it's bad. How many episodes can you have, on Tatooine, right?
Yeah.
I hated it.
but that's I think more of an issue with the Boba Fett series than it was Mandalorian.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. I can't disagree with Dan on that
I will
because
say that Luke had his aunt and uncle killed, and immediately was like, "All right, let's go."
he wanted to. He no. I mean, we can debate that because he wanted to leave. He wanted to leave like long before that. But
Dude didn't even join
the
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 theater.
the thing that the problem Star
Didn't
Wars has a Tatooine problem because this is a planet that's the furthest from anything, and everything seems to happen on that planet.
And guess what?
And then
If the
no,
Acolyte has Tatooine on it, I'll lose my mind too. I agree with getting. I'm done with Tatooine. I
no.
agree. And then let's put it. Saving my J.J. Abrams rage for another day. I'm saving it. So, all right. You guys got anything else to say about this? I'm backing out of this conversation right now.
Before we move on, some of the reasons I never got into Discovery and I never like I do watch a lot of the Star Wars stuff, but I don't get upset about it as much anymore. Is because like when the second Star Trek movie came out, the one I refused to
See, now
watch.
you're gonna make me talk about J.J. Abrams. I just told you I don't want to talk
No,
about
no,
J.J. Abrams.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I was like, look, I want to protect my childhood, and I feel like the prequels, there was, and a lot of like, especially these last three films, they've kind of like taken the wind out of my sails for Star Wars. Like, I can watch The Mandalorian and I can watch Boba Fett, but I don't really care anymore if it's canon or what. I just want to see cool Star Wars stuff. I
But
I'm just not invested like I was.
you don't have to be
And
invested.
I want to protect that. Yeah, but I wanted to protect that with
What are
Star
you
Trek because I
protecting? What are you
was
protecting?
such a Trekkie. Just
What
like
What are you
that
protecting?
childhood
What
memory of like,
that's see. I think that's
and feel it.
bogus. I think that's bogus. I think I think if you can't compartmentalize those things,
Oh, okay. No, it's called feelings and emotions, and like
But how does
I don't.
something that you watch now affect something that you watched then? It doesn't. How
Well,
does it ruin what you had before?
I I let me take this one because I think I can answer this for you. Because with the exception of Empire Strikes Back, the other two are from the original series are terrible. They're not terrible, but they're not good.
I don't think
They're
you're
not.
doing a good job of answering this
They're
question,
not.
Dan.
no,
But in our minds, right, when we were
right.
kids, they were the best thing
Yep.
ever.
Yep.
So the nostalgia and the memories behind it prop it up way higher than it should
But
be.
you're saying
Right?
that watching the old ones and seeing them as something that you don't see as good anymore, that doesn't have anything to do with like the Book of Boba Fett or the Mandalorian. What Chuck is
Well, I think
saying is that, he's getting these things that are ground into dust because it's like they keep on retreading the same old, and
the way
trying
I
to
heard it
trying
Yeah.
to
was
trying to get
it
that
was more like
feels.
Well,
I heard Chuck. So I'm going to talk for Chuck for a second. I heard Chuck saying more like, "Hey, I don't want it to ruin what I had from before by being something new and different within the same context of everything else that I knew." That's what I heard.
no, yeah, that's what I said. And I agree that, yes, I think that we have rose colored glasses on when we look back, to our childhoods for sure, without a doubt. Watching Aliens with one of my kids, and there's a moment in the movie where Newt calls Ripley mommy. You guys remember this scene?
Hmm.
She just calls her mommy, and both me and Addie are like, why? That came out of nowhere. It totally pulled us out of the film, and we were just like, it really broke the film for me, and I
Hmm.
don't remember that the first time I watched it. I don't remember. I mean, I remember just being terrified the first time I watched that movie. So it was really interesting. But like, not only is what I think Dan's saying is right, but also you're watering down the story, and there were things as kids that this would be cool if this happened, or this, and we had all these like imaginary, where would this go and how would this, like, what would happen after the movies and all this. And I just feel like, so some of the decisions made were so bad that, like, I don't know, it cheapens the whole experience for me, I think. And I'm afraid to do that with Star Trek, because it was such a huge part of my childhood, with
Okay,
watching the
the
Next
JJ
Generation in the film.
Khan episode, the Khan movie with JJ is so absolutely terrible, but it does
Yeah,
not
that's why.
take away from Wrath of Khan in any way, shape, or form.
Well,
Like,
I
and
yeah,
that's
but
and that's where like I'm going with this is because it's just like I don't know. I think you'd be able to watch this without it ruining all other Star Trek for you.
yeah, what's the
It
point
doesn't
though?
it doesn't water it down. You don't have to watch it. And I'm
Uh,
telling you to watch it. What I'm
Oh,
saying
I
is
know.
though, but if that was your fear, like I don't want it to ruin Ricardo Montalban's Oscar-winning performance for me. If that's what it
I don't
is,
think that
I
was.
don't.
Yeah.
It's not. But if that was what you were like, I don't think that's. I'm going to
So
argue about. There's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot to
so
unpack
like
here.
I'm not that invested in Star Trek. I mean, like I enjoy it. I don't have anything really bad to say about it. I mean, I've enjoyed it at multiple phases of my life, but I'm not would never call myself a Trekkie. I enjoyed Star Trek and Into Darkness. I did not see Beyond, so I can't comment on that one. I don't like the Khan character at all in either of the movies, right? I thought the whole Benedict Cumberbatch, like he's way overplayed in the movie, but I still enjoyed the movie. It was fine. Like if it was on, I'd probably sit down and watch it, right? Um,
Oh, can we have a J.J. Abrams episode
We
sometime soon?
can. Yeah,
Okay,
we can.
we're gonna just.
Lost Redux,
I can't blame him for Lost. So he didn't have anything to do with the writing of that last season. Um, that was Lindelof
I
and
Here's
anyway.
the thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to like blame one guy for like everything. But here, let me just throw this at you, Justin. You like the movie Goonies, right?
mm,
If they had made 50 Goonie movies, and the last 49 sucked and were just horrible. Wouldn't that ruin that first Goonies movie for you?
That's a terrible comparison.
I don't know. I'm just saying. I
No,
think
no, no.
that's
That's
kind
saying
of
that
how I
like
feel
that's
about it.
saying that like Star Wars hasn't done anything good except for The Empire Strikes Back, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's just not true. So hang on,
Yeah.
we're gonna
Oh,
do
I
this
agree.
last bit
It's
of
not
news, and we're
true.
gonna get right back into this because what we want to talk about is criticism. Okay, so
All right.
one of the sad stories that just came out over the last couple hours or last couple days was about Jake Lloyd, who played Anakin Skywalker in The Phantom Menace.
Hmm.
Jake Lloyd, Phantom Menace came out 25 years ago, so every so often all this stuff gets brought back up and like how, um, you know, the Phantom Menace was just like the most biggest abomination in all of Star Wars history, and oh my God, how could George Lucas ruin everybody's childhood? And all this hyperbolic, which I've heard a little bit of tonight, discussion on something where now we've got I've got a generation of kids that think that the prequels are better than the originals, and on
They're
top of
more
that,
objective.
they've they've now championed Hayden Christensen as amazing, and they're so excited to see that he's been in Ahsoka, that he's in Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the memes. I have the high ground is not a joke it's become like something different, you know. Well, Jake Lloyd didn't really have that luxury because he didn't get cast in any of the movies except for the first one. He's had nothing but a life of trouble where his sister died at a really young age, who was like kind of like one of the guiding lights in his life. He has been diagnosed with schizophrenia. He has found himself in prison. He has had drug issues. He sounds like he's getting better. Sounds like he's turned his life around and things are getting better. One of the hopes I have is that they will introduce him back as some sort of character into the Star Wars universe for this poor guy, like they've done with Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar, like they've done with Hayden Christensen.
Good. Good.
Because
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed that Jar Jar actually is, or Ahmed Best did play some roles in Star Wars that aren't. He plays an actual Jedi in
In
the Obi
Ahsoka,
Wan.
right?
I think it's in actually
Or
Obi Wan
Grogu.
Kenobi.
Gotcha.
Yep.
He's the
Yeah.
Jedi that saves all the kids. So it's kind of like a
So,
nice thing to do for him because think I think people suck.
Well, it's
And
unfair to the
so,
actor. It's
oh,
unfair to the actor. If a
yes,
character is written poorly or comes off poorly, which I think what Lucas was trying to do was capture some of the Ewok magic. That yes, Dan, little teddy bears. I get it. They're kind of stupid, but when we were kids,
unless they're
I just remember
burning.
being like, "Oh, the Ewok, the Ewoks were awesome." Yeah, let's on fire. But yeah, I I mean, I totally get what he was trying to do, but it just didn't play. Though I did see the movie 7 times in the theater. So
Okay. So here's the point. The point is that this dude,
yub nub
he's 8
baby.
years old, he's in Star Wars, he's all excited about it, and then his entire childhood he's berated for ruining Star Wars. Developed some
It's not his
so,
problems,
fault. Yeah.
so
you
let's
know.
talk about that though, because all right, so is that your take on it, or what did you read that
Oh no no no
you're
no. This
attributing?
the story was mostly about his schizophrenia that he's been dealing with. That's the most recent
Yeah.
article and how he's
So,
like come through that.
so
But I have like lived the last 25 years the stories of Jake Lloyd going in and out of jail, going into rehab, going in all these other issues, and just getting out of acting, having problems, issues cope, and hating Star Wars to the point of, wishing he was never in it, suicidal thoughts, things like that.
Right. So when you read the like, did you read the like some of the articles that were came out today that really
Yeah.
kind of go into depth on the history of it though?
Well, it
Because
was the stuff I read was about the schizophrenia. The article I
yeah,
saw.
so what I read today in I think it was a Rolling Stone article and the Deadline article was that he didn't consume any of those detractors, right, to his performance until much later in his childhood, right? Like
Hmm.
years later because his mom they didn't have internet at home, like they didn't expose him to it. They pulled him from acting right away. Like they didn't let him do more, was what I read. And that there is a hereditary, uh, uh, like in his family, a history of schizophrenia, right? And so he had a psychotic break,
I'm
and
not
this is
saying
all
I'm not
depression and
saying that
everything.
this is all Star Wars related. That's not. I'm not saying that like he's
So,
schizophrenic
well,
because of Star
I
Wars.
just
That's
where I'm getting at is I don't think it's quite the same as like Ahmad Best, right? Or Hayden Christensen, right? I don't think necessarily that there's something owed, if you know what I mean, because of
I don't think
everybody
it's owed.
treated him terrible and everything, and then they need to rework him into the storyline or and give him a bit part in some future thing, right? This guy is truly in truly has mental health problems, right?
Sure.
And I don't think him coming back in Star Wars is going to help him, right? That's
So
I guess.
Well, no, it won't. But it would be a nice gesture. I think is what Justin's saying. It's
it's a
just a
nice
nice
gesture. That's
gesture.
all I was
Well,
thinking.
yeah,
That's not the end point because it's just like it's not just those either. I mean, there's Kelly Marie Tran who played Rose in
Yeah, she got
Last Jedi.
shafted.
You know,
she.
there's
Yeah,
look at what's going on with the Marvels. Look what's going on with the characters. Like
yeah,
Brie
I haven't
yeah.
Larson.
paid attention to
Look at
Marvel.
what and it's just like where I mean, I'm beating a dead horse by talking about like online criticism, stay off of Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. We all know that, but where is it? Because I mean, it kind of goes on with the discussion we just had 10 minutes ago. Where we're talking about, you know, this all sucks. I feel that we don't have any nuance anymore in any sort of criticism. So you're like Mandalorian sucks is like what I hear from you instead of this episode's really good. It's going here. Yeah, it had a little bit of filler here, and I wish they wouldn't have done this. Overall, I'm looking for more nuance instead of hate or love for something. It's either the
We
best
could
thing or the worst thing ever, and that's what I hear from everybody.
we could do a whole series of episodes on Mandalorian with me giving you my opinion on Mandalorian because I could give you all the nuance in the world that you want, right? But I think
I don't think
ultimately,
you're the problem, Dan. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying I just use
no,
it as an example because we just talked about it 10 minutes ago.
yeah, no, I think so. Like, let's take Rose from the last two Star Wars movies, right?
Mm.
I think it's I don't think it's her, the actress at all. It's a terrible character
Mm-mm.
that serves very little purpose within the context of the movies, right? It's just a
Disagree.
bad character.
I
Disagree.
think I
Bad
think
writing,
I
100%.
I think they could have taken that character further, and I think it wasn't her fault. I think it was just poor writing and poor
Yeah.
decision
Well, you
making.
say you say the last two movies, but they set up this character inside of Episode 8, and then because of fan backlash, completely like pushed her to the side for the ninth episode. She's like three lines.
Yeah.
They push her aside and just have nothing to do with her completely. They hid from that. That was
It's just like
the JJ episode. I'll talk about that more.
it's just like oh shoot, who are you remember in Lost when they find the tail section and there's like the two really annoying
Yep,
characters that
yep.
everybody hated, and
Yep.
then it took like 3 or 4 episodes for the feedback to get back to the writers. So like, yeah, let's write them
No,
off,
but
and
that's not even the same thing. I mean, Rose did serve a purpose in the Last Jedi.
Yeah, she did.
yeah, the whole purpose of Rose was to be some propped up love interest for what's his name, so that it wasn't going to be Ray and Finn anymore, right? So she was Finn's love interest, right? And that's what she was there for. Instead of trying to come up with a character that could be inclusive of a underrepresented culture within Star Wars, that actually was good for the story versus, hey, we decided we didn't want Ray and Finn to be love interests anymore, so we're gonna just come up with this,
But what does
Rose
she do in the
character.
movie? What does she do in the movie?
She saves him. She saves him in the end.
It's
Yes.
She
just
believes in
The
him.
it's
movie
just
she fits in with the theme of the movie and she's vital to what those themes of that movie are.
I
And
don't
this is why
I
people don't like Last Jedi because they didn't get it. They didn't get what that movie was.
Right. No, I understand.
I think I think, all right, so let's go back to nuance, right? If there's a nuance to her character, I think I could see it a little bit. it's totally unnecessary for the actual movie itself, right? Because I think people overthink Star Wars. People overthink it 1000%. It's a space movie about Jedi and
No, it's more than
Sith and
that.
good.
It's more than that. No, it's
And no,
you're
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 overthinking it.
simplifying it. You're simplifying something
I
But you, if you want to
then you
get
know what?
into,
Rose is exactly what she should be then. If you want to just make it some stupid movie, who cares about it? Then Rose, then that's the type of character Rose should be then, and you shouldn't have any issue with it. Yeah, she's a throwaway character, so you don't have Ray and Finn together.
but she's not a throwaway character though. She's like, especially in eight, right? In eight,
It's
she's like, boom,
throwaway in 9.
here's the deal,
Yeah.
right? And then
yep.
they realize people don't like the character, or they don't like it. Just it doesn't fit. It doesn't work for our audience, right? And so
Incels.
they
The
said, all right,
audience
we're
of
going to go a
incels it
different
didn't
way.
work with.
Yeah, yeah. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
I think
So
that's a bad take. I think.
as you can see from Justin's reaction to Star Wars is just a space movie, um, there's a lot of passion behind these films. But I think the broader story that we're discussing, which is the how a show or a piece of content can be just labeled garbage and move on, is because of the amount of content that we have at our fingertips. Like, I literally don't go and watch a film anymore. I just wait for reviews, and if they're garbage, I don't even waste my time with it. Like, honestly,
I've done
that's
that
how
my
I've
whole
been doing
life
it
though.
lately.
But that's what I've done
Yep.
my whole life. And I
Nope.
think
Nope.
that's
You no, because early
absolutely.
when I was younger,
Absolutely.
I would go see opening night shows all the time.
Um
I'm not consuming it the same
you
way I
have
used to.
but okay, because you have a lot more going on in life too. You're a parent, you got bills to pay, you have job, you have other things going on. We don't have all the time in the world, so we have to be more selective with what we're watching. But
True.
I've always been that way. Like for me, I have since as long as I could remember, going back to like being younger and Roger Ebert, you know,
No,
I
I
would
know.
have my favorite reviewers. Like these are the people that like the movies I like. So I'm going to follow these 3, 4 reviewers, and whatever their consensus is probably a pretty good indication of what I like. So hey,
Mm.
3 out of 4 of these guys really like, The Big Lebowski. I'm going to go see that movie, The Big Lebowski. And more than likely I'm going to like The Big Lebowski. It works pretty well. And I think if you look at, I think Metacritic, Rotten Tomatoes do a disservice because they paint with a broad brush. And sometimes I
Mhm.
really like something that's offbeat and weird. I think audience scores are terrible. I think they're really terrible. I'm more of like, um, if I'm gonna go like, yeah, if something's 99% on Rotten Tomatoes is fresh, more than likely it's a pretty good movie. But I didn't need to have 50,000 reviews all go to 99% to tell me that. I probably could have gone to my 3 or 4 reviews that would have told me that also. And they probably, those 3 or 4 reviewers are going to tell me about the movie that on Rotten Tomatoes got 40%, that, you know what? No, this is actually something you're going to like, you know?
And okay, so here's the thing. So in this case with Rose, and in the case of, there's been other cases where fans have spoken out because the internet is so not instant, but you get a good feel from your audience, from people in general who are consuming these shows. If something isn't working, they can change it. So like Rose, for example, if people didn't like her, which I don't really get why, but because if it was me, I would have just said, no, I trust my gut and stick with the character. But if so there's at points you can't always agree with the audience. And like you said, 50,000 people may love this movie, but it may be, it may be a horrible movie compared to the types of movies you enjoy, the types of films
Mhm.
you enjoy.
So I
But
think. No, go ahead. Finish.
no, I just think, like, I don't know where I was trying to go with that, but the amount of consumables that are out there, it's just unbelievable. You can't even, like, I can't even watch all of it, and I want to watch all of it.
Yeah.
I just don't have time. So you have to kind of pick your battles. And for me, a 50-year-old guy, I'm not 50 yet, but I'm getting there. And I do not think that I'm going to get all worked up over a character like I like I did in the past. I'm just not. It's
So,
you know.
like, here's my, I think, my take on what's wrong with the newer Star Wars movies, why people like, Justin don't like them, right, in general, right, is it doesn't have a good identity. And I think that's why Rose character doesn't resonate with fans like me, right, is there are you got a mass media corporation like Disney with Lucasfilms, right? And you got somebody like J.J. Abrams comes in to direct and write and try to craft this new trilogy, and you're trying to please everybody, and it doesn't work, right? To make a good movie, like if you take Dune, the new Dune movies, Dennis Villeneuve or something
Dennis
like that, right?
Villeneuve, yeah.
Mhm.
He's not trying to please everybody. He's making his thing. He's doing it in a way that he wants to put this movie out, right?
Right.
And by virtue of him being true to his vision and how he wanted to do it, it just hit, right? Everybody, even like my wife, doesn't understand the movie, right? Like 90% of it, she's like, I'm freaking lost, but I love the movie, you know? So like she doesn't even understand 90% of what's going on, or maybe more than that, but she doesn't get it, but she still loves the movie. Whereas like Star Wars, you've got like this little bit like this gritty character of the new Sith kind of guy, right? Who was Luke Skywalker's, protege, and he's kind of a badass, right? But he's also, Han Solo's kid, and he kills Han Solo, and then the next movie comes out, you stick him and Rey together, and it's like, ooh, gonna be a thing, right? And then you're like, well, then Finn can't be a thing, so let's get this Rose character in. But Rose's character was just like so cheesy, and it's the same reason why I hate Poe Dameron in these movies. I think Poe Dameron's so cheesy and doesn't fit with what the movie's trying to be that it just doesn't work, right? And that's why I don't like Rose. It just doesn't work. And because it's like a different part, it's like they're mashing together. Hey, this is this segment of viewers that likes cheesy, and then you get the Poe Dameron who's like, I don't know, he's like the Fonzie, throwing it
So
into this epic battle, but in
so
you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It's
no,
like this
I I
almost
totally
got
get what
you
you're
almost
saying.
got
mashing
it.
together.
You almost got it, and you're
Mhm.
right in like all this, except you're missing one piece and why it breaks. And the reason is because there was no vision. JJ didn't have a vision. And JJ came in and did the first episode and wrote one story with no vision attached to it except for that one first part because he was never to do another episode after that. And this movie that
And that's fine.
episode 7 was offered to every single director of any sort of caliber that you can think of. Steven Spielberg turned it down. Everybody turned it down.
Mhm.
They had to go to J.J. Abrams because nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted to touch Star Wars because it's career suicide if you screw it up, right? And from a
Not
money
no,
perspective,
not for Spielberg. Not no. It wouldn't
he didn't want
affected
to
him
touch
at
it. He
all.
didn't want to touch it. He didn't want to touch it. Okay, it wouldn't be
He
career
didn't want to
suicide for.
touch it because it
Okay,
was,
here's the thing. Here's the thing. It wouldn't be career suicide for Spielberg,
he
but
didn't want
anybody
to
else, it
touch
pretty
it.
much would be. I mean, J.J. Abrams
So
hasn't done
like
anything
like
since the Star Wars movie.
you're not you're not getting creative control over Star Wars when you go to make a Star Wars movie,
Right.
Well,
right?
that's
But
why
like
they
the
didn't
Right.
have.
Star
But
Wars
now they
movie,
have a visionary. They've got Dave Filoni to have that creative control over things, but they didn't have it before that. And here's the
but
thing:
even,
you take a movie and you pass it off to Ryan Johnson, who then takes what he's given. He's taken what he's been
mhm,
given, and he's now got to craft something out of that. So,
mhm,
he's got to craft
right.
something like, okay, why the hell would Luke be on this island? It doesn't make any sense that Luke would just disappear. It doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. So you have to build a backstory about what he did there, right?
If Steven Spielberg had said, "Yeah, I want to make it and I want to do it this way," right? It's either going to be you're doing it Steven Spielberg's way, or Steven Spielberg's going to do it Disney's
He
way,
didn't even want
right?
to do it
And
though.
he's not going to do it. No,
Yeah.
I know exactly. But if they had said, "Oh, you can clean slate, you can Quentin Tarantino this if you want," You can Indiana Jones this, however you want to do it, right? You can Goonies it, whatever. What you get full artistic, control over the story you want to tell within the Star Wars universe. He probably would have said yes.
I think they would have given it to him. They gave J.J. Abrams 100% creative control
No,
over it, and J.J. Abrams went the easy
no,
route. He wrote it with Lawrence Kasdan,
never,
who wrote the last Star Wars movie. He had 100% free
never,
control.
never was going to happen. Never,
He
they would
had it.
never hand that control.
He was
They're
given the
never
keys
going to
to
give
Star
him.
Wars. And Dan, I think you're breaking
No,
up. Chuck, is
I
he breaking
I
up to you too? I just want to make sure on quality of video.
I don't
he's
know.
not
You
break.
are.
No, he's not breaking up to me.
Okay,
Yeah.
you were
You've
breaking
been
up on
breaking
my
up a
phone.
little bit.
You're not breaking up at all though, Chuck.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that's great.
He was given
Okay,
the
so
keys.
guys, I have to go. I have to step in because we're at an hour and 21. We want to keep this at an hour,
We did. We
but
did.
yeah. So I mean, the passion is great, and I love it. But
This
and
is
we
fun.
can.
We're
But
back,
the
huh?
problem is with
It's
with
like
Star
sip
Wars.
like a
With Star
nice
Wars, there's just
hoodie.
too much to discuss, and we all have such different opinions about it.
Uh-huh.
So
Man.
yeah, so I think we should probably just call it a night here, or call it an episode, and then we can
I
pick
want to I
up
want to I want to
back.
start with one thing though. One thing. And this is the point. Is just like I hope this podcast is and we're going to talk a lot of crap about a lot of things here, but I never want to do it with an ounce of meanness. You know,
No,
this is
no,
never going to be a place that's going to come after an actor or an actress because of a role they played. They might do an action
no
that we may
way.
come after them for. Like there are some horrible Harvey Weinstein like people in the world that need to, be come after. That's different. Um, I don't like when we hate on stuff. I want it to be out of a place of love. I want it to be fun, lighthearted, all this stuff. Like we're talking passionately
Yeah,
about it, but I
yep.
honestly, we're good with it all. I want to keep it that way, and I don't think we're having an issue. But it's just like I want to be a place that isn't going to just love or hate something. I want to talk about the in between stuff. That's where I'm kind of at with like bringing this back, and there that's where I'm
Amen, brother.
Sounds good.
at. All right, episode 1 in the books, guys. Are we gonna call it right here?
Absolutely.
Okay,
I
I
got
gotta figure out how to edit this bad boy and figure it all out. All right.
it.
Uh,
Cool.
we did it. Okay. Should we sign off?
There you go.
Yeah, there
Let's
you go,
do it.
man.
Happy
All
trails
right.
indeed.